Hey there! If you've been here before, welcome back. But if you're new here, you found me. I'm Mayumo, I'm a nurse, I'm a dog mom of two, and most importantly, I am a novice self-taught artist sharing her art journey online. Today I want to talk about confidence and how I've come to attain it as an artist and how anyone can. I've been seriously drawing since 2020 and any of the years before that, just on and off. But finally, at 30 years old, I am finally confident in my art and my art style. From my experience, gaining confidence is kind of difficult, but it is a journey in itself and it requires a lot of practical work and a lot of inner work. I would say I did 4 things to achieve confidence. One of them is consistently practicing. One is asking for feedback and learning from mistakes. Third one is experimenting with different mediums and art styles. And the fourth being, practicing self-compassion. So the first one is consistent practice. That is basically dedicating time to practice drawing or whatever your art skill that you want to be confident in. This can be hard, but I would say that this is the number one reason I've gained confidence as an artist, is just constantly putting in work and practicing my skills. This quite literally applies to any skill that you want to be good at. You have to just consistently put the hours in. From my experience as a nurse, I've moved to 3 different units. And although I have 2 years of experience under my belt, plus another 5 years, moving to a new unit now, it still took some time to get used to working that job because, I needed more exposure and more time to practice certain skills and learn the workflow of that unit. And when it comes to my art journey, it's the same thing. I was not confident in my drawing for a while, but that's because my art taste and my art skills were just not at the same level. My tastes were up here and my skills were down here. So what I did was just practice a lot, draw a lot, and I did that consistently. I'm not saying I did it on a daily because I feel like that's not really realistic because, life happens. But I would say I did it consistently enough to be weekly, monthly, and even through the years. So it's not impossible to be consistent in practicing your art. If I was to give you guys an example of how I've consistently practiced, I used to be really bad at drawing hands. And honestly, right now, it's like one of my favorite things to draw is hands. I think hands are so pretty, feminine hands and manly hands. But I remember drawing my characters and always hiding the hands behind their back or putting it in a pocket. And it just happens because I couldn't draw hands, out of frustration and just sheer disappointment in myself. I practiced. So what I did was I drew a bunch of hands, just studied them, made sure I break down every shape. I just drew them all in different angles, and right now I can confidently say I can draw a hand without a reference. Of course, if the hand was in a different angle that I've never drawn before, then I'm gonna need a reference. But that's kind of just how it works. You practice something until you get better at it, and then when you're better at it, then you feel more confident. It's not just hands that I wasn't confident in, it was like facial features, whether that's my female characters or my male characters. I hardly drew males, and I think I understood that and I saw that I was lacking that skill. So what I did was just practice. We can flip through my sketchbook and you can see that I've been practicing male faces because it's just something I didn't feel confident in. You just have to continuously do something over and over again and trying it in different ways. Make sure you're studying it. You're doing it in a smart way. Of course, you could try to draw a fish over and over again and you can perfect it. But you can try drawing that fish in many different ways until you finally find the one that you are happy with. And that's just kind of what it takes to be confident. And that's how consistent practice works. The second thing I did was ask for feedback and learn from my mistakes. Asking for feedback is basically what I did was shared a lot of my work online. My feedback was, I guess, just a comment section, but unfortunately a lot of people people who saw it are just so nice. I feel like the art community is very supportive, my friends as well, but I would say that this was a problem. Only because I look back at some of my old art and y'all were lying. You guys said that shit was good and it wasn't good. Luckily, I had the insight and foresight to say like, no, this is not good enough. I get it, because I guess I didn't really straight on ask for feedback. I wasn't like, hey, can you please give me some constructive criticism on my art? And that's fine, because as a novice artist, I was just so sensitive. I get it. If you're kind of like me and you're still a little sensitive about your work, that's completely fine. What I did was I had to look at my work myself. I would give myself feedback objectively and subjectively. I would look at my art and be like, is this symmetrical? Does the nose look a little off? The eyes look a little off? And then look at it subjectively, like what don't you like and what can you improve on? That's kind of just what I did. The worst thing you could do is just not draw or work on your art because you're scared of it being ugly and being dumb. That's probably the dumbest thing. So don't do that to yourself. Definitely just draw. You don't even have to share it with the world just yet. You can just keep practicing for yourself. Once you get that confidence, you can look back at all of your old art and just learn from those mistakes, which is basically what I did. I actually had a video about that, roasting some of my old art. So that's why I knew y'all were lying, that saying my art was good. I'm watching you. But just remember just to be honest with yourself, and remember that your skill will take time and to develop to your taste. So just learn from your mistakes, and then if you don't get any comments or constructive feedback, just have the insight to be able to analyze the things for yourself. The third thing I did was experimenting with different mediums and different art styles. Exploring various mediums and art styles is kind of really fun because then you can also explore what your preferences are, what you like, whether it's like different colors, different textures, brushes, and then through that exploration, then you can kind of see what resonates with you. And that's the fun part, because it's like a self-discovery, and that's just my favorite thing ever. Yeah, my very first medium was actually oil pastel as a 5-year-old kid, which is cute. But I have dabbled in water, tempera paint, acrylic, most recently gouache, which is so hard, by the way, alcohol markers, and Posca pens. But experimenting is fun, so let you explore a lot of you're gonna like in your art, and maybe you'll even accidentally find what you're really good at, and then that becomes, well, your thing that you're confident in, and that's just great. First 3 points I talked about are all practical work. The last point, the inner work, which is practicing self-compassion. Easier said than done. By practicing self-compassion is just, well, being kind to yourself. You have to embrace your mistakes and your flaws to a point and use them as learning opportunities and treat them as stepping stones instead of setbacks. I think when you're in the moment of failing or in the moment of making a mistake, you feel awful. But step out of it and look in hindsight and realize that it's not a setback. It's just another stepping stone to get to where you want to be. I think self-compassion means also being kind to yourself in a way where you can celebrate your little achievements. You might not be where you want to be yet, but you can celebrate that little thing that you just did. Like say you just learned how to draw hands. You can celebrate that. My number one advice that's really applicable these days is just stop comparing your art. Easier said than done. You have social media now. Just turn it off. If you're feeling really absolutely not confident in what you're doing, scrolling through your phone, looking at other people's art is not going to help you gain confidence. It's putting in work that will. To be self-compassionate about yourself, you got to realize is just to put your phone down and sit at your desk and put in the work of trying to improve yourself so that you can gain confidence. Don't compare your art with other people's art because you will never know what they went through. You don't know what schooling they did, their life experiences, their preferences, their train of thought, their mind. You don't know. Everybody is different, so don't even try to dig yourself in that hole of self-doubt. We don't want to be there. It's not a good time there. Yeah, the best self-compassion that there is just to not give a fuck for a second. Stop caring about everybody else's journey and just focus on yourself. You need to really hone in and do some deep work and practical work to really improve and be confident. That's probably the nicest thing you can do for yourself. The first 3 points that I made are all practical work on yourself. Those are all easily controllable. By means, it's your effort. The more effort you put in, the more output you'll have. And then the last point, which is practicing self-compassion, is inner work. And I would say that is the hardest thing to work on. Once you've come to accept that things actually take time and effort, and that is what you put in, then you'll realize just how easy it is to get good at your artwork and how attainable it is to actually be confident. Yeah, I think I'll just leave it at that. But I hope my experience with gaining confidence as an artist was somewhat helpful, and I hope my thoughts were somewhat cohesive and my experiences can help you out. That's all I got. Otherwise, thanks for sticking around and having this talk. I hope it was helpful, and yeah, I'll see you guys next time.